People might jump in as we go, which is just fine, but let's go ahead and get started. You're in the right place if you're expecting to be in a hangout about the Google Teacher Academy. The Google Teacher Academy is occurring in London on April 4th and 5th, and it's 2 days of free professional development about using technology in the classroom and out for teaching and learning. So what we've done today is we brought together a group of our current, lifelong Google certified teachers who have actually participated in past Google Teacher Academies, and some of whom are really instrumental in shaping and delivering the versions that we're running in London and elsewhere. My name is Tia Lendo. I work on the Google Education team, and I'll be kind of moderating and facilitating as we go, throwing some questions to our panel that's here. And we've got one more person who just joined, so welcome. And we're going to start with some introductions. It'd be great to start with Wendy. If you could just tell us what you do, which Google Teacher Academy you attended, and also kind of where you're coming from today.
Sure, absolutely, Tia. Hey, everybody, I'm Wendy Gorton. I run out of New York City right now doing professional development with teachers, also with computer-using educators, giving cool trainings to teachers around the world and using technology. I attended Google Teacher Academy UK back in 2010, which Danny Silva, who's going to introduce himself next, was at. But I'm actually hangouting you guys from Fairbanks, Alaska right now, where it's not too chilly, but I'm at a teacher professional development about sending teachers to Antarctica and the Arctic and using tools like Google to connect back with students around the world. So I'm really happy to be here today.
Amazing. Well, let's go to the other frozen tundra, to the folks in the UK, starting with Mark.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Alyn. I was also at the GTA in London in July 2010. I'm a governor, which is an unpaid kind of volunteer steering committee, governor and occasional instructor in a state primary school in Suffolk, in England. And the GTA was something that really was quite significant in my life, because after the GTA I became convinced that that what we'd been doing in my school could be shared for benefit of other schools, and since then I've turned it into my day job, and I spent all my time going around and showing other people how to do the same kind of things.
Excellent. I know we have a few other folks who have joined to kind of ask questions, which is great. We're just going through and introducing our kind of panel members of alumni of the Google Teacher Academy, and I see that Ian has just joined us. So Ian, if you'd like to say hello, we're live on air with our panel and a few folks who have some questions. If you could tell us where you're coming from today and your role and which Google Teacher Academy you attended.
Yeah, no problem. I've just changed from PC to Chromebook, so hopefully you can hear me. If you can, that would be great. Yeah, I'm Ian Addison. I'm a primary school teacher working with children from 4 to 11-year-olds. I attended the Google Teacher Academy in London 2 years ago. At the time, I wasn't working in a school. I'd used Google a little bit myself, but then it was sort of from the Teacher Academy and from talking to others that we started exploring and sort of setting it up when I went back into teaching. So yeah, it's been a good sort of year and a half, nearly 2 years now since the academy. But yeah, it was very exciting.
Excellent, thank you. Let's go to Danny, who's one of the organizers of the Google Teacher Academy.
Hello, Danny Silva, and I work for Q. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator and a former teacher working in the science department, and brought Google to our school about 5 years ago, and since was actually the
Sorry to interrupt, Danny. I think somebody might need to just mute if they have some background noise. Sorry, Danny, go ahead.
That's all right. Yeah, just was at the Washington, D.C. GTA in '09.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for joining us. And I see that we have Andreas here. Thank you for coming in. Is it Dougal? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. It's Dougal.
Google, great. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well, I would love to I'll just kick off with one question and then, let's turn it over to the rest of you who have been able to join us. Thanks for coming, Simon and Tony, and all the others who are watching on the live broadcast, which we are going to record and make available. I'd like to just first ask, what is the one thing for those of you who are alumni, that you really took away from the Google Teacher Academy? For you, what was that thing that you've kind of drawn on and that stuck with you?
I can jump in. I really think the networking with 50 other amazing educators has been so powerful. I still talk to so many of them even today, with collaborating with projects, with emailing people out and kind of getting an idea or a question about a tool, and just learning every day from this amazing group. And so the 2 days is just an intense showing of information and ideas and projects, and just collaborating with some really unique individuals. So that's been my biggest takeaway for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The networking is extraordinary. And, I'm not a natural joiner of networks. I've kind of shied away from that for much of my professional life, but the last 2 years have transformed the way I work with other people. The other thing is that it was kind of the first professional development event I'd been to where I stayed awake after lunchtime. Mostly these things are aimed at the slowest person in the room, and you're desperate to get away by 2 o'clock if you can. And this was entirely different. This went slightly faster than the brightest person in the room, and it got to kind of 3 o'clock, maybe even not even that late, and I felt something really unusual, which was that my brain was full. There were people all around the room recording things, taking notes in their own fashion. So some people were tweeting, some people were writing, some people were using laptops or tablets or whatever it was. And some people, stupid people like me, were just trying to absorb it all. And you can't. There's just too much to take on board. Even though I looked at the agenda and I thought, yeah, I kind of know all this stuff. Within 30 seconds of it starting, I realized I didn't know quite as much as I thought, and it never stopped. It just kept on adding more and more and more cool stuff.
Cool, thank you. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, exactly what Mark said, actually. I remember the first session we had with Lisa Thuman, and she asked us, to put your hands up if you knew how to search using Google. And stupidly, we all put our hands up and said, yeah, of course we can search using Google. And as Mark said, within a few seconds, we realized we were all idiots and we didn't know how to use Google at all. And that was just the searching. And then there was the sites. And luckily, there were a few sessions where I knew the bits on Google Maps, or I knew stuff about Google Docs, so I could sit and absorb some stuff. But most of the day was just new things, and as Mark said again, it was fast-paced, but it was exciting. Right from, I think it was about 8 in the morning or something early, we started right the way through to about 8 o'clock, I think, when I left in the end. So yeah, it's a really full day, but took so much from it, and still learning about how to use the tools now and sharing them with schools around the area and wider through the Google Teacher networks.
Excellent, thank you. And for folks who don't know, the setup is that there's, on April 4th, there's a 1 full day conference, and that's followed by an unconference, which is optional, although really encouraged because it's such a great group of folks who are there on April 5th. On the first day, we have a number of sessions, and those are led, almost exclusively by alumni of the program, so it's really peers learning from each other, and we also ask the current participants to share, whether it's about Google tools or any other kind of technology and tool that is useful in the classroom for teaching and learning. On the second day, it's really totally handed over to the participants. And so there are a range of topics, from Google Apps to search to Earth and other various tools to digital literacy, etc. And regardless, we hope that people really come with a plan of what they want to get out of it, because it's very much down to the participants to be able to help craft the 2 days. Now I want to just see what questions are on the minds of the folks who are in here, and I'll also be monitoring my my G+ page to see if people are submitting questions online. But for the folks who have joined us, who are not alumni of the program and aren't possibly applying now, what are the questions that you'd like to ask?
And it looks like we have a question in our chat already.
Oh, fabulous. What is the question, Danny, if you don't mind?
Can anyone come on the 5th for the unconference, or is it only for GTA people? That is only for the people that have been invited to the GTA on the 4th. And you wouldn't be able to get in mainly because you have to go through security and you have to have the badge from the day before. So that would be one reason how you couldn't get in either. I'm sure we would love to try to get as many people as possible, but we would be overwhelmed, I'm sure, very quickly. So,
yeah, many people ask us, I mean, obviously, this is kind of a very intense thing to organize 2 days of live free training. We wish we could do it more, but there's only so much because it is such an intense experience, and we do want to make sure the group size is such that people get great interaction and great value. We do have other online trainings, which I'm happy to talk a little bit about near the end of this Hangout, so that if people are interested in that, and also if you follow the Google and Education Plus page, we'll continue to post about some of those virtual opportunities for professional development. Other questions from the group?
Yes, I do have a question. So.
Great, thank you. And Andreas, where are you coming from?
I'm from Germany, working in Ireland, so I'm working for Google, primarily with Google Apps. And I'd be interested in learning. We do have some resources available online detailing how to use certain services and products of Google in the classroom. And I would like to know if the participants here are A, aware of these lesson plans that we do have, and B, how do you actually use Google Apps in the classroom, and are you creating new materials and new ways to use Google Apps inside the classroom?
I can start with that. We've been using Google Apps with our children from about sort of 6-year-olds, and we have been using things like making websites. So we've got Year 3, which is 7-year-olds making their own websites. We share presentations with the sort of 7-year-olds upwards, really. We're just kind of exploring different ways of using it. So just using as many of the tools we can. We use things like Google Maps right down the sort of 6-year-olds, 5, 6-year-olds are exploring. So it gets more in depth as we go higher up, but they're all exploring and playing and trying in their own ways as they move through the school.
And I can add to that in terms of the resources. I mean, the 2 days, Mark was saying kind of how much information is happening. What's wonderful is that there's so many resources on the Google Teacher Academy agenda and page, tutorials, videos, lesson plans from other teachers that I could go back and kind of digest and show my teachers that I work with. So the amount of resources that we get are huge, and it's really important to kind of unpacking everything afterwards.
And people might not know about, we just recently relaunched our google.com/edu website, and within the For Teachers area, there's a section called Connect and Share, where people can access online forums where they can talk about Google Apps and Earth and other places. So I'll make sure we post a link to that, but people can find that under google.com/edu in the For Teachers section under Connect and Share. There's a lot of ways to learn more. There's also an online certification for Google Apps called Google Certified Trainer. You go through, you learn at your own pace, and then take 6 exams that prove that you are certified. And so that's another good option as far as if somebody wants to gain that expertise. I believe we have some Google Certified Trainers on here as well who went through that online program. Is that right, Mark? I believe you are as well?
Yeah, and Ian as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. So,
yeah, I think it's also really important to know that the Google Teacher Academy goes beyond Google Apps for Education. Google Apps tends to be our focal point when we talk about teachers getting involved in Google. But the GTA covers everything from apps to Earth to Blogger to the wide array of products that we have at Google that can be used in the classroom. So keep that in mind as you debate whether to apply to the GTA or to do the online training.
Great. Yes. I don't know if we actually had a chance to introduce you, Becky. My apologies. So if you would be able to let us know about your role, too. You've been instrumental in all of this.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Becky Evans, and I am on the Google Apps for Education team, but I work with a lot of our K through 12 efforts. So my role in the GTA is actually going to be post-GTA. I'm sure that many of the GCTs on the line right now can talk about how much fun it is to be part of the GCT community. So the fun doesn't stop after the 2 days in London. We have a really robust online community that is, actively participating in online events and in-person events. So know that it doesn't end after the 2 days.
Great, thank you, Becky. So thanks for everybody who's putting questions online. I am going to go to some of those, and again, let's try to keep the questions to, there's many topics we can do, and we will do more Hangouts, but particularly to the Google Teacher Academy, what it is and how to apply. And I see we have one question here, let's see, from Cherise. So thanks for joining and watching online, Cherise. She's wondering what level of skills are needed for the application. What would be your thoughts for those of you who are alumni? And maybe Danny, if we start with you as one of the organizers.
Sure. What we'd like to see is that you are involved with providing training or are very well versed in professional development for your school. And that is not to say that's the only people we want. We don't want just professional developers. We want innovative teachers that are familiar with using technology and being innovative in the classroom.
Yeah, I think that's what came out of it. It was that everybody in the room had a passion of some kind. It wasn't necessarily that they were well versed in Google tools. In fact, I'm not sure how important that is. But an openness, a willingness to learn, and a passion were probably the sort of recurring theme in everybody that was there.
Yeah, definitely. It was the willingness to share. There are people in there that hadn't used Google Apps at all, but they were the kind of people, they dabbled maybe a little bit on phone, but not as a school, and they've since, they're sharing constantly. It's people that we know. It's quite nice to sort of meet up with some of those people, like the David Mitchell, and Kevin McLaughlin, and people like that who are constantly sharing new ideas. So it's not just you work in your school and that's it. It is the sharing and collaborating beyond your school walls, and that's I think is a key point.
Absolutely. Other teachers too, just with having an innovative mindset to their instruction and trying to always bring the best kind of practice to their students. It seemed like that was a common thread in everybody who was at the Academy, for sure.
Great.
Yeah, and going back to what Andreas asked a little earlier about the the materials that are used, the fact that it's kind of divided between more traditional instruction, somebody standing at the front and explaining the tools, which was mind-blowing, but if you like, fairly classical in approach. But then the really interesting stuff is the application of those tools. So people were standing up and explaining how they'd made use of them in some context or other to do with education. People from all kinds of different phases of education. There were some dealing with very young children, some through to further education, higher education. But it was all, the demonstration of it used in real-world context is always interesting.
Great, thank you. And I see one of the questions here from Mike was about whether or not there are any teacher academies taking place in Boston or other areas. At the moment, we haven't announced where other ones will take place. As soon as we know, we'll let people know. For now, the only one to which you can apply by February 16th is the deadline, is the Google Teacher Academy in London. You do need to make your way over there, but the actual training itself is free. So we will let you know, and just by staying in touch with the Plus page and google.com/edu, we'll let you know about other locations when we know.
Tony's asked a question in the chat window.
Great.
So Tony, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, I'm not actually a teacher. I work at the local authority. My role is partly as a professional geek, so I give tech advice and guidance to schools and help people make choices about what technologies and solutions they want to use. Some of that actually introduces me to a wide range of things, and Google Apps is quite quite a common one of those, which is one of the reasons why I'm applying for the Google Teacher Academy to actually get more involved. Now, a lot of what's been spoken about and what's been shown about resources is all about generating lesson plans and content. What about those of us who are there to actually try and find out how some of the systems work together, how we can help schools collaborate, how we can actually make the most of the tools rather than specific resources?
Sure. I can kind of take on the beginning of this question maybe. We would like to see people that are involved and are influential over K-12 education. It sounds like that's something that you do is bringing those ideas to the educators, and that's the other type of people we want to see there, is people that can take these great ideas that are going to be given off from great lead learners and be able to share those with others. And so it sounds like that's what you're asking about. And there's lots of great ideas that are coming of how to use the tools in general, and not just this would be perfect to teach volcanoes. We don't usually get that specific. There might be occasions that you're going to see that. But it's going to be a lot of this would be great in this context, and so you'd have your mind blown, I think, by attending the GTA.
The other thing, Tony, is that you know, there is no right or wrong way to approach the kind of collaboration that you're thinking of. You know, Google Apps for Education is essentially a set of potential, and how you choose to deploy that and roll it out may be different in different places, different contexts around the world. So there is, you know, the experience of people who've already been through that in the state sector, in other sectors, in other phases of education. But you know, knowing about the tools is an essential part of it, and then figuring out the collaboration, it can be done in many different ways.
Absolutely, Mark. I think it's interesting because the different kinds of educators that come, I know that as somebody who helps schools deploy it and kind of some of the technical stuff as well, that was really interesting for me as well coming in. So it was great to hear the technical aspect, especially on the unconference day, on strategies and what that looks like. So I think the breadth of applicants that come in to the GTA kind of is so wonderful, because you do get those, you know, people who are at that level that you're at, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of people, and thanks Paul for jumping into our extra spot on the Hangout, and welcome. I think a lot of people are probably wondering about the application itself. For those of you who've already been through the program, a top tip or something you wish you had known before you applied that would have either felt like you've strengthened your application or maybe made it more efficient?
I'll start, because if people have seen mine, they know that it is awful. And I've freely admitted to people that mine is dreadful, because I thought, it's the Google Academy, I'm not going to get in, so why bother applying? And I didn't actually make my video until about 2 hours before the deadline in the end, because I kept thinking, I'm never going to get in, what's the point? And then it was only, I thought, if I don't apply, I'm not going to know. So I spent a few hours and made the video through all kinds of technical issues. But yeah, don't sit there thinking it will never be me, because it might be. There's 50 people going, so it might be you. You never know. If you don't apply, then it won't be. So I'm glad that I did, but I very nearly didn't in the end. So definitely apply. And the other one is go to YouTube and look through the Google Teacher Academy videos, because you can see the past videos that people have submitted, so you can see the examples of what people have done. And I found that very useful, and I know that others have as well.
Yeah, I'll add on to Ian's. Claire just asked in the Google Plus chat a little bit more about the video, and I know that watching other applicants, I mean, seeing their kids and what their kids are doing and hearing their voice and their passion come through is way inspiring, you know, more so than fancy editing techniques or you know, making it look super professional. Just seeing your kids in action and you talking about the cool projects you're doing, that for me is a real treat when I watch the videos, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. I think we just had Harold to join us, so Thank you for coming, Harold. Paul or Harold, since you've just joined relatively recently, do you have any questions that you would like to ask the folks we have?
I don't know. I was just kind of listening along. I mean, I filled my application out a few weeks ago. Very hard to include kids. I teach in further education in Norfolk. I actually teach functional skills IT. And strangely enough, functional skills IT is the worst place to introduce Google Apps because we have a very restrictive curriculum on the functional skills. I'm supposed to teach them how to use Microsoft Word, Excel, database, and PowerPoint. That's about it. But I've taken all of those away from them, and I've encouraged them to explore different opportunities that the Google offers, but also the other web applications that are out there. So just kind of seeing what other people have got to say, really. So I don't know.
Thank you very much for joining us. And for those not as familiar with the context in the UK, the Education Secretary, Michael Gove, has talked a few weeks ago and repeatedly in the news about the need to kind of really rethink what's called ICT over there, kind of how we teach kind of computer science, digital literacy, etc. in schools. So I think it's a really exciting time to be holding a teacher academy in London, where I hope there'll be a lot of great discussion about that and what role the teachers and the administrators who are there want to play in helping to set some of that new agenda. Any other questions from some of our folks who are on here? I know many of you have already submitted your application, which is great. For those of you who haven't, the applications are open until February the 16th, and there's instructions online. I'll make sure I post the link to where you can access the application.
I've got one question that someone tweeted me earlier on. They were asking, when they submit the video and the application form, who is it that there's on the judging panel? Is that the right word? But who is it that decides who gets to go through? So that was a question someone asked me earlier.
Great question. Danny, do you want to?
Sure. The committee is some Googlers as well as past GTA attendees who are now GCTs will be reviewing applications.
And a GCT is a Google Certified Teacher. So once you've attended a GTA, then you join the ranks of the alumni. Welcome to Kevin. Kevin, where are you joining us from tonight?
I'm joining you from England, originally from Ireland. I've just managed to get back into this. It's been a bit of bit hard getting into this Google Plus on air tonight. It's only 10 applicants, isn't it? I mean, you just have to wait for somebody else to drop out before you can drop back in.
There's only room for 10 people in the Hangouts, and the other folks, if you don't know, you can watch online, just watching the broadcast post. So I'm glad you made it in. Do you have any questions that you want to ask? We have a group of alumni who are here from the program.
Kevin's an alumnus as well.
I'm an alumnus as well.
Oh, fabulous. Well, thanks for joining. When did you participate in the Google Teacher Academy?
Same as Mark and a few others here. It's a Google Teacher Academy in London in 2010, first one in the UK.
Woohoo! And what do you think's been the biggest takeaway from you? What's the thing that you maybe experienced or learned there that's kind of stuck with you?
Just how powerful Google Apps actually is. I didn't actually realize how much of an educational tool it could actually be. The Academy unleashed, is the best word I can say, unleashed a torrent of educational know-how and apps and tools, and just kept coming and coming and coming. And then being able to spend a couple of weeks after that just trying everything out and seeing how I could use it and adapt it and try it for my own school. It's been great, and it's still coming. There's still so many other possibilities. Hangout, for example, I've been talking about this today with an educator, and about the possibilities of using Google Hangout with educators throughout the UK, first of all, but then using the Google Hangout with teachers from different parts of the world. Okay, time restrictions are going to be hard getting classrooms connected, but if you can you can still manage to get some schools, different countries connected together and having a situation where you could just join in, giving feedback, giving understanding, giving questions and answers. There's so many possibilities and so many tools that I just can't keep up with it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, and I would like to add, there's so much information that is given out at the Google Teacher Academy. One of the phrases that Dana likes to say up front presenting is, you don't know what you don't know. And there'll be a lot of times during the Google Teacher Academy that you're like, I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah.
And those happen constantly. And this breeds more and more innovation, because you hear one idea from this person, you hear one idea from another person, and those ideas just build upon each other. And before you know it, that's why the unconference is so great the second day, because you take everything that you've learned the day before, and it just expands exponentially.
Absolutely. And a few people have mentioned this, but there are ways to kind of stay in touch officially and unofficially after, of course, the Google Teacher Academy. I don't know, maybe Mark and Wendy, if you want to share a little bit about how do you stay in touch with people afterward? What is set up to help you do that?
Yeah, I know that Spencer just asked on Google Plus about follow-up with participants, and one is the action plan that's kind of built into it. There's a nice project that taking all the tools that, one, we get to work on at our schools, and then two, share that back with our cohort, and that happens in a variety of ways. I know that our unique listserv that we have in terms of emailing each other, there's definitely meetups that we work on as well, and then just online in the Twitterverse and Google Plus now, so many ways to keep in contact with everyone. So it keeps on going, both officially and unofficially, for sure.
Plus the forum of people who've been through the GTAs before. It's an incredible knowledge base of talented individuals the world over who are willing to share things.
Yeah, I remember one example. I was leading a workshop and somebody had a question about Google spreadsheets and doing scoring, and I sent out a question and got an answer back in like 15 minutes from another brilliant GCT. So that's just one example of the community that's there with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember at the Google Academy, they did say there isn't an online forum like this. It's very active, and I thought it can't be that active, and it is. There's always people there asking questions, answering questions. Yeah, it's very useful. If there's anything you need to know, someone will reply within minutes usually. But yeah, very helpful.
Yeah, and 24 hours a day. Now that we've had a GTA in Sydney as well, I get no sleep at all anymore.
I do. I filter all of the emails, so I check it now and again.
Yeah, that's the smart thing to do. Yeah.
Good call. Do the digest version. It's helpful.
Yeah.
Only once a day.
Great. Well, thank you, Claire, for joining. Where are you joining us from tonight, Claire?
Emails, I check it now and again. Yeah, that's the smart thing to do. Yeah.
Good call. Do the digest version.
Claire, are you able to?
I think Claire's a little bit behind.
Thank you, Claire, for joining. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in London, in England.
Great, thank you, Claire. I think you might still have the broadcast playing. If you'd be able to close.
I think I do.
Yeah, if you could close
that window.
The broadcast. I know it's a little tricky because that one is a few seconds behind. But
is that better?
Perfect. Do you have a question either about applying or about the Google Teacher Academy for one of the alumni here?
Yeah, I guess one of my questions is, does the video and the written application have kind of equal weighting in the application process?
Great. Danny, do you want to start with that one?
The weighting process, basically we look at the whole application evenly. So the video will give a great impact because we actually get to hear you or see you and see what you're doing to be an innovative educator. And sometimes people are better off with the video than they are with the writing. So we try to weight that evenly for you.
Sure.
Yeah. So definitely kind of holistically considering all of it. And welcome to Sally, who's just joined us. Sally, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining you from Plumtree, which is just outside of Nottingham in the UK, but I'm actually Australian.
Oh, okay. So we have a lot of kind of people playing multiple roles tonight. I like it. Do you have any questions for the alumni who are here about the Teacher Academy or about applying?
Well, I guess, yeah, being Australian, I was just wondering if you were expecting to get many international like applicants in, because obviously, you know, everywhere has a slightly different education system, but I guess, do you feel like the Teacher Academy kind of caters to this?
Oh, that's a great. So it sounds like two questions, really. One is about, which is great. One is about, are we going to have people from around the world? And I'll let maybe Danny talk about the kind of mixes we've had in the past. And I think the other question there is, how does this professional development work when people are actually teaching in such different systems that have different structures and, you know, procedures and national curriculum or not, etc. So maybe Danny, if you want to take that first one, and then it'd be great to hear from some of the other participants. How could it be so applicable, regardless of where you're coming from?
Sure. We have applications from all around the world, and it's great because it's wonderful to get that type of influence into the GTA community, the Google Certified Teacher community. And I would think that Wendy would be great, because she's been in so many different international schools, to answer the second part of that question.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. I mean, one, it's nice because at each one of these I'm a former international school educator in India, where we use the International Baccalaureate curriculum, you know, MYP and PYP, which all has its very own different set of requirements in terms of curriculum. So it's nice because there's been American school teachers at every one, and it's nice, again, during the unconference to share, what does this look like if I'm, you know, migrating it to my school? How does that fit in with the way we teach and our style of curriculum, and especially with British curriculum being a little bit different than American curriculum as well. So again, having that mix of folks that are there, and also having that chance to not only at the unconference, but learning from each other afterwards and sharing ideas with each other. Absolutely. So that was one of my favorite parts, to be able to finally connect with other international school educators.
Great.
Yeah, and I would say that certainly one important aspect of this is that it's all about teaching and learning. It's not about managing kids or formalized systems like MIS or LMS systems. It's much more about the inspirational things that you might do if you're an excellent and imaginative teacher with a set of tools which have really wide-reaching potential. So it's more about the face time that you have with kids than it is about the systems that might be built up around the curriculum in your part of the world.
Yeah, I can't remember any specific curriculum being mentioned. It was up to us to kind of take it and see how we would use it. I remember there was a graph when we were at the London Academy, and I think there were something like 27 were from the UK and 23 were from around the world, and I'd only travelled an hour to get there, and yet some had travelled, you know, from Australia or from Los Angeles, and I just thought that's dedication. So there is a huge spectrum of people that you can sit, collaborate and chat with, as well as local people from just around the corner like us.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess to reiterate, it's really kind of like the actual 2 days are very much a beginning, because there's so much sharing that goes on, you know, constantly afterwards. And it may be that you made contact with somebody around the corner, or maybe, you know, Wendy and I just met briefly in the Seattle Academy last year, but are able to, through tools like Google Plus, really interact easily across time zones too. So I totally would concur with what Mark and the others said.
I've got a question from one of the Google Plus pages, if that's okay. Pete Stewart has asked if you don't currently have an audience to train and go and share Google Apps with, is it still worth applying to the Academy? So I know that one thing that Danny talked about was CPD, but if you currently don't have that, you've only got your school, will that still count?
And I think we lost just the very beginning of your question. Would you mind just repeating that?
Yeah, sure. Danny was saying about the ongoing professional development and sharing with other teachers. A question from Pete Stewart is, if you don't have that audience at the moment and you've only got just inside your school, can you still apply, and will that still, you know, will your application still be sort of taken seriously, I guess, if you've only got your one school?
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't matter what size kind of school you're at. I mean, Danny or anyone, do you want to add anything?
Sure. I can give an example. When I applied to the Google Teacher Academy for Washington, D.C., I'm from a school of 500 students. And so very small school, 23 teachers at that time, I believe, were on campus. And I was doing technology. I was the technology coordinator for the district. But I had ideas and thoughts and ways of using that, and I guess that came across in my application and then through my video. We're looking, like we talked about before, we're looking for innovative educators. If you're willing to take a chance and try new things, this is probably something that you want to try out.
I was using Google Apps in a single school of 72 kids when I applied.
Wow.
You know, it
got me beat.
It really never entered my mind that that was a consideration in the process at all. You know, it was didn't seem to matter where you came from. It was just about your appetite for learning new things.
Definitely, and like we talked about how we're looking for a range of educators from different backgrounds globally, we also would like to have different perspectives from teachers, trainers, professional development, coordinators. If you are involved in education, we'd love to have you.
And I think one of the really exciting things about there being such a diversity, and I attended the Academy in Seattle in the summer of last year, was getting a chance to watch everybody present. So because all of the peers are presenting, and they're either doing anything from, we have a portion called the Demo Slam, which is just like 2 minutes, tell us your great idea, get us excited about it. Or whether they were sharing maybe a 30-minute session, or even kind of an hour workshop within the 2 days. You got a chance to watch them teach. And as a former teacher, I used to teach 4th grade or year 5, I never got to go and watch other people teach. So in a very funny way, this was also like one of the biggest takeaways from me, was just being able to see other people's style of engaging.
Yeah,
Tia, if I can piggyback on that, I definitely changed the way I do some of my professional development with my teachers.
Is someone else going to jump in there as well? Is that you, Ian?
Yeah, just saying, you were saying about watching other teachers. Just to sort of name 3, I spend the day watching Tom Barrett, Zoe Ross, and Doug Belshaw. So if you get taught by them in one day, that's not too bad, is it? As well as lots of other people too. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Just looking to see if there's any other questions from online. Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap up in just a few moments. If you're in the Hangout with us, if you could add it to the chat. Any other questions from the online community? We've got, I guess, one question here from Spencer. How has the Google Teacher Academy changed over the years in terms of content and impact? I think maybe Danny or Becky might be good to talk to that, because we actually did a little bit of change of it last year.
I'll let you start, Becky.
I can't speak historically on how things are changing, but I know that after the London GTA this year, we'll be looking to make sure that the GCTs have a bigger impact on the communities that they are reaching. So, for example, we've always had project plans that GCTs are asked to complete at the end of the GTA. Something that shows to us that they will take what they learned at the GTA beyond those 2 days. And so we will be formalizing that process a little bit more to make sure that whatever impact you're having, whether it's at your own school or maybe a larger impact across many different communities, that we'll be able to share that with other GCTs and with the education community at Google at large.
Yeah, and as far as the actual Google Teacher Academy, which I believe has been running for about 5.5 years now, I think one of the, in many ways the essence is the same, because it's so much about having these great participants in one place. But I know one of the kind of tweaks that was made last year was various bits of the agenda changed around to ensure that the participants who are there could lead even more of the actual sessions. So whether it's, I think, probably a higher and higher attendance over time at that second day unconference, or even on the first day, making sure that there's enough ways for people to input, whether it's for a minute or whether it's for 30, or just through informal chats over lunch and dinner.
Yeah, and somebody who's been to GTA UK and then Sydney and Washington, I definitely noticed kind of differentiation happening where you could have choice at a certain block of time to go see something that you were particularly interested in, and then go see the other ones with all the resources online. So as a participant and as a leader, that was really nice to see for teachers to be able to choose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would just like to talk a little bit about the action plan that Becky was talking about. At first I was a little scared by this, going to the Google Teacher Academy. So what, I have homework? But it is so great, because what other professional development do you get where they basically require you to practice what you've just learned? And so it was wonderful, because it just made you think about what you've gotten from the GTA and apply that in your classroom for other teachers, to the greater community, however you want to look at it. It made it just that much better.
Well, yeah, like Jerome Berg's one of our Google certified teachers. Action Plan Google Lit Trips is now something that is beloved and used by so many educators around the world, and starting out as an action plan is pretty cool.
And I'll paste the link to the Google Lit Trips right now in the chat box. This is something that, as Wendy said, Jerome started. He's an alumni of the program. And what's really exciting is he thought, there's so many great books that we read across all grade levels where setting is incredibly important. Why don't we use Google Earth more to bring those to life? And so one of the things that you can do in Google Lit Trips is just download, say, for the Kite Runner, or for the Grapes of Wrath, or for Macbeth, a trip through Google Earth so that kids can go chapter by chapter, visit different places, and actually have kind of thoughtful questions posed to them so they can learn more and really see the area. And that's just one example of the sorts of things that somebody might think of in one of their plans.
But also, you don't have to make something massive like Google Lit Trips. Don't think you must go and change the world. You can just go and do simple things. And the thing that I liked is that the person that checks up on your Google Action Plan is someone that you choose from the Academy. So mine was David Mitchell, and I checked his and he checked mine. So we had that kind of, the friend side of it. It wasn't someone who's going to come and tell you off. It was, working with a friend to make sure that we both we did some things, and we discussed how we're going to share Google Apps with our staff and the other opportunities we had. So it was, it was, you can choose someone else to look at your plan and help you with it. It's not homework as such.
Great point. All right, well, we should start to wrap it up now, partly because there are people joining from all over the world, and we really appreciate your time. We are going to get the recording of this up if people want to come back and look at it or pass it on to friends. That should be up tomorrow, both on the Google and Education page and on my page. If you're interested in finding out more about the Google Teacher Academy, please do visit google.com/edu. Visit the For Teachers area. I'm going to try to share my screen and see if I'll be able to show you. I think actually that won't work at the moment, unfortunately. But what we're going to do is, you can go into For Teachers and then just click on the professional development link, and it will tell you about how to apply and also link you to other resources. Any parting words for the applicants from any of the folks who are alumni of the program?
Do it. Apply, just like Ian said, just do it.
You can't go if you don't apply, that's for sure.
Get a lot of sleep before you go.
Great.
Yeah. Empty your mind. Just empty your mind. Be prepared to get it filled.
And also plan time in the day to just sit and skip a session. I did that, and then I was able to think a bit because I just switched off one session and I was able to fill up, with other things. But yeah, definitely empty your mind, get sleep, and apply.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you taking your time. We hope that you apply and that you encourage your colleagues to apply as well. The applications are due on February 16th for the London Google Teacher Academy, which takes place on April 4th and 5th. And we will have other ones later on in the year, and we'll be announcing those through the Education Plus page on Google Plus and through google.com/edu. So thank you very much, and look for the recording of this available from tomorrow, which is February 9th. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thanks. Good night.